Welcome back to the Spartan Sports Podcast. My name is Thomas Chavez, and today I am joined by Carter Fry and Darren Baydoun. Darren, I saw on your Snapchat story you got your diploma. Congratulations.
I did. Thank you very
Big,
much.
big congratulations to the man. And Carter, I'm still waiting for your next article.
Yep, should be coming either later today or tomorrow.
Okay.
Been a busy last couple of days. Had some internship possibilities pop up yesterday. Had some meetings. Things are in the works.
All right. Well, today is June 17th. We are in the aftermath of quite possibly the most hectic day in NBA history. And the news just doesn't stop coming. So there's a lot to talk about today. And so I guess just I'm sad. Chris Paul, my boy, my sweet, sweet boy, is now in COVID protocols, and I am sad.
Man, and like the Suns have the highest vaccination, percentage in the whole league, I'm pretty sure. You had the whole LeBron situation where he was at a party, but the NBA was just like, you know what, he's okay. But then Chris Paul, NBA always, with their, very short temper with Chris Paul.
I'm sure I'll be back.
Nothing's changed.
Well, no, it's just so weird because I remember they said on the jump, Matt Barnes talked to Chris and said like he's told Matt he's vaccinated and he doesn't, he goes to the facility, he plays games, he goes home. Like he doesn't, he's not going out to like, he's not going out to like big events or anything like that where you would think maybe you would be exposed. So for him, it's like he was just saying like how like, it's just he's like how, like I don't know how this happened. It's just no, it sucks because he went through the whole thing where he injured his shoulder in the first round against the Lakers, but the Suns were able to overcome that, and then he had, I mean, what I thought was some of the best basketball I've ever seen him play, just in general against the Nuggets, just absolutely basically being what's the nickname, being the point god that that everyone that he's been for so long. And then, I mean, I know I had picked the Jazz to still make it out of the West, but I mean, I saw the Suns play. I'm like, they might be my new favorite with how they played and just how dominant they've looked. But I mean, it's not guaranteed he'd be out for the entire series against either the Jazz or the Clippers. And if he is vaccinated, that would hopefully for him mean that maybe he would have like a quicker protocol possibly or something like that. But I mean, no, God, the guy's had to deal with injuries to either himself or his team so many times in the playoffs, and now it's just he can't catch a break. He can't catch a break.
Yeah. Hopefully, because he is vaccinated, that means he'll be able to miss max one game. I know that's what Jalen Rose was talking about on Get Up yesterday. But yeah, like you said, he just can't catch a break. It's always an injury to him or a teammate that always screws the team over when they're trying to win a championship in the playoffs. And when it comes to the Western Conference Finals, this is going to alter my prediction for who wins. Whether it's the Clippers or the Jazz, my prediction now is going to be Suns in 6 instead of Suns in 4 for the Western Conference Finals. If he misses more than one game, the Suns might be in real big trouble because that's also taken chemistry issues into consideration because now he's going to be out of the lineup if he does have to miss time. So hopefully things don't go terribly, but we'll see.
Yeah, and I mean, we haven't seen them without Chris Paul this playoffs, so who knows how bad they will be, how bad they'll be in need of him, but I'd assume it will be, they'll be screaming for danger a little bit. I'm guessing whoever they face in the Western Conference Finals will be quite a formidable opponent. But, guys have just been going down left and right. It seems like every time you've had to make a prediction this year, it's, if the team's healthy, blah, blah, blah. So, if the Suns can get Chris Paul back, stay healthy, I think that they have a very good chance to win it all. But, still got a lot of other teams out there that are looking very strong. And if Chris Paul is out, Suns are no longer looking like one of the top teams for sure.
Well, the best thing the Suns can hope for is that the Clippers Jazz series goes to 7, and that way they wouldn't play until Tuesday, and it gives the best chance for Paul to be available right away, which could very well happen because the Clippers won last night without Kawhi, but now the Jazz have an opportunity to win 2 in a row, and Clippers without Kawhi, as well as Reggie Jackson and Paul George played. We've also seen Paul George turn into pandemic P. So
Pumpkin P. Call him a pumpkin P. How about that?
Pumpkin P. Yeah. So we'll hope the Suns can best hope is for that series to go to 7, which honestly I think it will.
I think it will as well.
I don't know who wins altogether, but I think that the Jazz go all out tomorrow. Right? They're playing again tomorrow.
They would
Sounds about right.
If there's ever a time for if Mike Conley is able to come back and play at all, I mean they need him for that because they just haven't, especially in the last ever since they got to LA, that they just have not looked like the same team. I think Donovan Mitchell is just he's going to be exhausted by the end of this series, having to be the main initiator all the time, and like they need that guy because if the news is what it is, where the Clippers are possibly fearing that Kawhi may be an ACL tear he suffered when he went off the court in Game 4, then I mean, even if the Clippers beat the Jazz, it's going to be that's going to be very tough for them to have to either get both get out of the West and then face whoever's coming out of the East because Kawhi's their best guy. And even though Paul George, I mean, listen, he put up 36 last night. I mean, he played great, and it's a credit to him to be actually able to come up clutch in a big time playoff game. But you're in all likelihood they're not going to be able to get that far without Kawhi.
Yeah, even if Chris Paul misses a game or two, if Kawhi is gone, I don't see them getting past the Suns because that Suns team just as a whole plays so well together. I don't know. It's really confusing because everyone's hurt. At this point, everyone's out, injured, hurt, in protocol. It's really hard to, think about who's actually a favorite anymore because you don't know who's going to be available for any game at this point. So, yeah.
Oh, and one weird thing to think about with this Jazz Clippers series, we got Mike Conley out on one side, Kawhi out on the other. Obviously, Kawhi is the much better player, but when Kawhi goes out, you see Paul George's game elevates a little bit, which is why I think the Clippers can still hang on to win the series. But when Mike Conley is out for the Jazz, their offense just doesn't know what to do. They kind of fall apart. Last night, they just got really lucky in the first half that they were able to hit 17 threes, was it? Bojan Bogdanovic was 7. Like that was a fun first half to watch last night. That was some good basketball. I mean, Jordan Clarkson just raining threes, but at the same time, 11 turnovers in the first half. Paul George able to, keep him in the game, slowly come back, take a lead. So although the Jazz are the more complete team and can probably make a further run than the Clippers without Kawhi, they, I think, are hurting more without Mike Conley than the Clippers are without Kawhi, just because when Kawhi goes out, Paul George, his offense elevates, and the defense, they have enough perimeter defenders to where they don't miss Kawhi a whole ton.
Yeah.
Sorry, you go ahead, Thomas.
At this point, I just think that whoever wins the NBA Finals is going to be the team that's the healthiest because everyone's hurt. Everyone has someone out, so whoever can have the healthiest roster by the time they reach the finals is probably going to win.
No, that's the story of these playoffs. With the fact that I believe now after Kawhi got hurt, there's been, and if Chris ends up missing at least one game, there will be up to like 9 All-Stars that have had to miss like games due to injury in these playoffs or something like that, and that's like I think the highest number ever of any playoffs. So it's just and I think, LeBron tweeted talking about how, like, coming back only 2 months after the bubble season, after the end of the bubble season, and, wanting to get all the money they got for, for playing on Christmas Day, starting on Christmas Day and everything like that, and just playing this truncated season. It seems like that there isn't any other. I don't know if there's really any other explanation. I mean, guys get hurt any given year, yeah, but with this kind of with the number of, like, not just regular players but all-star caliber players, like the guys that usually are the ones that take on the heaviest load, that the fact that they're like in these playoffs that they're just all falling, that they're just falling away. It's like, it really just showed that just how, like, probably the effect that this season has had on these players having to come back so quickly. And then, yeah, I mean, no, to your point, Tom, it probably is going to be whoever is healthiest. And, you talk about, I mean, right now, I mean, if you look at a team like, yeah, I hate to say, it's like, it seems weird to say, but if you look at a team like the Atlanta Hawks, who are fully healthy and who I'm sure we'll talk about in a second, but they're not missing any guys. And if you're going to rely on health, I mean, hey, it just might be the one year where you find that one random team that just can make a run like that when everybody else is hurt. So who knows?
Yeah, and the Suns season ended in March last year. They didn't have to deal with the bubble or anything because they were out of the playoffs. So that could be why they don't have any injuries, because they haven't had to have that fast turnaround.
They did play in the bubble.
In the bubble, they did the
play. They didn't do the
playoffs.
No,
but they did play.
But they did they went undefeated and all that.
Yeah, they went.
Yeah, that was the Suns. I'm talking about the Hawks.
Oh, the Hawks. Oh,
yeah. I thought you said the Suns.
Yeah. Did I say that? I meant the Hawks.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But yeah, the Hawks, they didn't have to deal with that. Their season ended in March.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
And even the Suns, they got to go home in August. You
right.
know, that's 3 months off. So those two teams that, even with Chris Paul out, are probably the two healthiest in the remaining in the playoffs right now, are the ones that got to have extra time off, which is interesting to think about.
Yeah. But yeah, no, the Hawks, they, 2 comebacks in a row like that against the Sixers. I mean, talk about a second half collapse by Philly. Last night.
Ben Simmons is just taller Bruce Brown. That's what I've decided. Ben Simmons is just taller Bruce Brown.
Hey, Bruce Brown can make a 3. He can make a 3. Like he showed it. I mean, I know he stopped shooting it with Brooklyn, but he showed in Detroit he can make a 3-pointer. Like, he's not afraid to take them.
Yeah.
No, that collapse last night was. I was watching that game. I turned it off because the Philly got out to what probably approached the 30-point lead. I'm thinking, like, all right. Like, Embiid was having, a great game. It's like, all right, they're taking over, 3-2. It's like, okay, Phillies, they're doing what they're supposed to do. Hawks, you gave it a good run, but, ultimately it looked like Phillies. And then you get outscored. You're the number 1 seed in the East, and you get outscored 40-9. I believe it was 40-19 in the fourth quarter. That is. Yeah. How, like, it's just everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. Joel barely attempted any shots, and I don't know if he made any. Tobias Harris had just a nothing game, and then Ben Simmons. You can't have even though he's a 6'10", you can't have essentially your starting point guard not being able to play late in the game because he can't make free throws. Like, yeah. As a Detroit fan, I can think back to Andre Drummond and his struggles, but you know what? I mean, he was a center. It's like he was a big man. It's like, those aren't uncommon. It's like Ben Simmons, like, you have the ball in your hands all the time. You're supposed to be the initiator, the facilitator. You're supposed to be the one that is putting all the guys in the right spots and getting the, and making that offense tick. You're supposed to be that guy. How are you going to be that guy if you're essentially, if it's Hackabin? And they're, it's like, you can't. And it just compounds all the issues of he both won't and can't make a jump shot. And he's in a series like this where it's just, I mean, yes, his defense is great, and when he's able to be a good passer, he's can be very good. But overall, it's just it just, it's hard not to say that Simmons is really it's like he's not. It's hard, like with a performance like that. It's like it's hard to say if he even really is a star player. Like, can you really be a star player with that kind of production like that?
Yeah.
When it's seemingly the impact that you're having on the game is just so non-existent, and you can't be in the game just because you can't, like, you're the point guard and yet you can't make free throws.
You bring a defensive, he's defensive player of the year candidate, but just nothing else, because you can't be a playmaker if you're not able to, facilitate the ball because you're always at the free throw line because you can't make a free throw.
Exactly.
So just his limitations in his game, he just because I don't think he hasn't improved since he came into the league. This is pretty much the same guy that we got when he first entered. And
I
like
would agree.
say what you will about Giannis, at least Giannis isn't afraid to attempt a three.
Right.
In fact, he may fall in love with it too much. He may fall in love with it too much. Like but at the same time, Giannis is also, and granted, like, we can get into the flaws, looking at the game that they had against Brooklyn, we can get into, I'm sure we'll get into the flaws that Giannis had with his performance. But at the same time, it's like he's the focal point. It's like you have no doubt that Giannis is going to, at the end of the day, he's going to go out and he's going to be the main guy scoring, and he's going to impose his will and everything like that. Ben Simmons just doesn't. I know you can talk about playing with Joel Embiid and how their skill sets, how their skill sets maybe aren't the perfect fit. But you know what? Like, if you're Ben Simmons, it's like you can get downhill. You can at least get into the paint. You can make things happen. Like, you're a highly athletic 6'10" playing the point guard where you're going to be going up against, smaller guys a lot of the time. Like, be aggressive. And he's not. He's not aggressive. It's not that he should be taking more shots than Joel Embiid, but you have to. You're your team's other all-star. Like, it's the playoffs. I'm not looking to get 9 points or whatever totals he's had. Like, he's just not. It's like you have to impose your will on the game more, and you have to be able to make free throws, and you have to. It's like you have to do all of that, and he hasn't because Trae Young in these playoffs is rapidly showing that he is a star, and that he is worthy of being that, and that he is and there is no doubt in Atlanta who's the man. And it's not that Joel Embiid is Joel Embiid for Philadelphia. It's like he's the only, like, it's clear to me right now he's the only true superstar on that team, because Ben Simmons lived up to that whatsoever.
Yeah, no, and with the 3-point shooting, Embiid, he's done his part. He's gone out, he's improved from beyond the arc, shot over 40% this year. Ben Simmons just can't seem to do the same. And it's, obviously Joel came into the league with a probably better handle on the shooting than Ben Simmons, but still, Ben should, like I feel like I can shoot an NBA 3-pointer. Like, why can't Ben? Like, he has that sounds like a stupid thing to say, but when you have access to, all the coaches and, some of the best help in the world, with your shooting, like, why can't you just, even hit 25, 30%? That's what Jimmy Butler shot this year, and he's, still a threat from beyond the arc. If Ben Simmons could just, hit 30%, that would be an accomplishment and make, change his game quite a bit.
Yeah, you don't have to, like, become Seth Curry or Steph Curry out there. Just make them respect you from the 3-point line. Because if they don't respect you, then they can go do whatever they want on defense and ignore you until you start to try and drive to the basket. So
yeah.
Just Simmons is very frustrating, and now all I can think about is when he was entering, when they had, like, the draft a few years ago with him and Brown and everything, and they were, like, filming all the guys walking in, and the cameraman fell over when he was trying to film Ben Simmons, and Ben Simmons just kept walking. I don't know why. That just came into my head. I don't know. It was funny. But yeah, Sixers might be in trouble if this keeps happening, because if the Hawks just outplay them in the fourth quarter, and that's not good.
They're gonna need probably Joel to have a KD like performance in Game 6 in Atlanta in Game 6. I think that's what it's going to take. Either that, or you have, or Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons. They need to put up better numbers, because the Hawks they're going to be at home. They're going to be motivated. They are not going to they are going to come out looking to put their foot on their neck. So like you have to be ready to go full out in that game.
Yeah,
See,
definitely.
it seemed like a lot of Hawks fans after this one were happy that the comeback wasn't against them for once. Look back to the Falcons.
Yeah.
The Georgia game.
Hey, you know what? It all comes back around some point. It may not be immediate, but it all comes back around some point. So hey, good karma. You'll see it eventually.
Yeah, and so there's one other series going on now: the Bucks and Nets. KD had that 49-point performance 2 nights ago, and put the Nets up 3-2. Wait, no. Yeah, 3-2. It's going back to Milwaukee today. Do the Bucks even have a chance in the series? If KD keeps playing like that, no.
The question is for me is that does KD have that in him to do that, like just immediately turn around and do that again? Like, I'm not expecting him to play badly, but is he going to drop 49? Is he going to drop a near 50-point triple double? Like that game was watching him just come up and just be able to pull up from three and just seemingly every shot he took was just automatic. And there was just no question. It's like, oh yeah, he's got a hit. And it's like he did. And it's just, that is him showing and it's amazing to think that again, this guy is still had to come back from what is considered to be the worst injury that any player in the NBA could possibly get with his Achilles. And he might have authored the game of his career. I mean, I don't think it's hyperbole to say man, that's in a game you need at home, you don't have Kyrie. Harden's playing, but he's basically I don't know what, he basically could have not played. And I don't know, what did he didn't look for a lot of that game. He didn't look like he should be out there at all. He just looked completely discombobulated and just was trying to protect his hamstring a lot. But you know what, he played and he made some nice passes in the second half at least. But no, I think the Bucks have a chance because they're going to be back at home. You'd have to think that with all of the attention that has been paid to Giannis in the media the past couple of days in terms of saying how badly he fumbled that chance, and how hurt his legacy is by this, and how in terms of trying to shoot the fadeaway shot when he should have gone to the hole, being afraid to shoot free throws, a la Ben Simmons. Fumbling the ball right when it should have been a dunk that I think it would have been tied. It would have tied the game, in the last minute, and turning the ball over instead. It's you'd think he'd be motivated to come out and show yeah, I'm a two-time MVP. I'm a former defensive player of the year. I'm also good. And the fact is that, yeah, I've got one more MVP than the other guy over there. So I should, and that's what irritated me. Not to get into a whole diatribe over this, but he talked about Kevin Durant being the best player in the world. It's you should feel like you're on that level.
Mm-hmm.
You've put up the numbers to say you're on that level. And yeah, he doesn't. And yeah, well, he at least takes jump shots. But yeah, he's not a great jump shooter. He's not a great free throw shooter and everything. Although he's better than Ben Simmons at the very least. But you have the talent to be on that level. Don't concede that.
When he said that, that sounded like he was giving up the series. That's when he said that, I thought that he was kind of giving up there.
But they have life. Kyrie's not playing. Harden is still obviously hurt, and even if he plays, he's not going to be the MVP version of him where he's going to be a threat to drop 30 in any given game or whatever. It's
right.
You have to listen. KD is going to do what KD does. I don't think you're going to see Jeff Green score like 27 on near perfect shooting. I don't think you're ever going to see that again.
That was a surprise.
That was definitely surprising. I mean, clutch for good. I mean, hey, props to him for putting in that kind of performance. But I mean, you're probably not going to see that. But so listen, the one thing you have to contend with is KD. Everything else with Brooklyn is an unknown. Everything else, because it's not guaranteed. Blake's Griffin's gonna come out and have like a big game. It's not Joe Harris hasn't been performing that well in this series, so you have to. It's you have KD to contend with, but when that you have basically every other big player on your team healthy, and Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, who they also didn't play great in especially Drew Holiday with multiple air balls in the fourth quarter of that game. He did not play well down the stretch, but you're healthy. You have all your best guys. They essentially only have one. And granted, he is the best player out of that group, but you just by attrition, you should be able to beat that team. And listen, if Kevin Durant doesn't have the same kind of performance, maybe they're able to win game 6 and come back to Brooklyn for game 7. But this is what I said about it's something to be said when you have unequivocally the best player on the court in every game, because that's what the Brooklyn Nets have in Kevin Durant. And Giannis, you're talking about for a 2-time defending MVP to just concede, just to say like he's the best player in the world. It's like you should be on that level. You are on that level. Like, act like it. Act like you're the man. It's just because, and I gotta say, like, the main thing I've heard about is that I really does he have a killer instinct? Does he have that superstar like mindset to be like to go out and dominate a la a Jordan or a KD or LeBron? Like, everyone talks about LeBron, but LeBron, when LeBron needed a game, he got it. He would go out and drop 40, or he would go out and drop 51. Basically, nearly winning the game by himself in the Warriors in the finals a few years ago.
But not this year. He didn't do that this year.
Game 6.
Not this year. Not this year. Although he is
Well, he did have that one against the Warriors.
Yeah. No. Well, yeah. That's the highest scoring. I think that's the highest scoring playoff game of his career. The only 50-point playoff game of his career. But
our game.
Yeah, that game. But it's just like, I don't know what it's gonna take for Giannis to feel like that this is his, like, man, it's take it, grab it, take it, man, take the baton. You should feel like you're on a level to take it. And also for Budenholzer, their coach, can you please put your best player on the other team's best player and say, okay, you're my defensive player of the year, please, for the love of God, guard this man and at least make this difficult on him, because PJ Tucker, for whatever success he had earlier in the series, can't do it. And Chris Middleton, even though he's a good defender, it's like you have a guy that's basically as big as him and can move with him, decently. Like put him on him.
Has the length too.
Yeah, has the length. It's like, I don't care about scheme. When you have one guy who they're throwing, when who's getting the ball and he beats every other guy that you have on him, dear God, what do you get defensive player of the year for if you can't go out and legitimately, go toe to toe with the other team's best scorer? Do it. Take that responsibility. Show people why you deserve to be mentioned as one of, if not the best player in the world. Show that.
See, I honestly, going into this game tonight, I was, pretty, up in the air as to who I think is going to win. And just as you're saying this, Darren, I'm getting more confident in the Bucks. I think that Giannis, I think tonight's going to be a statement game. I think he's going to come out, prove, I think he might want to prove that he is also one of the best in the world. So I will take the Bucks tonight, because we're not going to get that same performance from KD, that we got the other night. That was the first 45, 15, and 10 game in the playoffs ever. So it's very unlikely he's going to repeat that. But at the same time, you have James Harden, who, maybe rushed back, from his injury a little too early last game. I forget how many total points he ended up with, but it was very few. I think he had 0 points in the first half, struggled from the field. Still got his assists and rebounds in, like always. But it's, James Harden, obviously he got a couple more days rest, but if he's not, healthy again and he's going to be the same guy that we saw the other day, Nets could be vulnerable again. And if we don't get that same performance from KD, he's probably going to drop, 30 and 10, like a normal playoff KD does. But, you expect that from him. And, the Bucks, they're at home. I'm pretty sure every game has been won by the home team in the series, if I'm not mistaken. So that's another thing that plays into tonight. So I definitely think the Bucks are going to take tonight's game, but Nets are going to take it in 7, especially if they can get some of their guys, back to better health, which I'd assume would happen by game 7. So the Nets, even if they don't win game 6, they have an advantage to look forward to in game 7.
Yeah. No, this is a game where, like, if you're Giannis, like, if KD scores 30, I need you to get 35. If he scores 35, I need you to get 40. Like, he has to match him, and he has to be better than him if they're going to win. He has to be.
That needs to be the attitude.
Yeah, it has to be. It should be. He is the caliber of player where it shouldn't have to be a question, but so many times it's, we've over the past 3 years with the Bucks, flailing out of the playoffs, it's just been like, does he have it within him to really be that guy? It's not a talent question, it's a skill and a mindset question. Like, does he have it? So, I mean, this is a big series for him and for his potential, for his legacy, which is, yes, he still has a long ways to go in his career, but like, people are going to judge him based on how they performed in this series for a long time. Same way they did for KD before he joined the Warriors. The same way they did for LeBron, when he lost to the Mavericks back in 2011. Like, they are going, like, this is going to be, because depending on how long it takes him to win a championship, if he does, this is going to be a series that people hold against him for a long time if he isn't able to come back from this.
Yeah, I think that game 6 goes to the Bucks. And for me, game 7 is going to come down to whether or not someone else can step up with Kevin Durant on the Nets roster. Because he needs someone to have that kind of game that Jeff Green had yesterday, or 2 days ago, where it's like,
right,
I can give you 49, but I need other people to help me out here. So if Kevin Durant can get just one other player to do what Jeff Green did 2 days ago, maybe it's Jeff Green again,
but that's the beauty of the Nets. I mean, you've got Blake, you've got Joe Harris, you've got Jeff Green. These guys can go off at any time. So
I've never heard Jeff Green can go off at any time ever before in my life until now.
Well, think about it. Like, he's had some good, memorable playoff performances in the past.
I know, it's just
Cavs and stuff.
Not the guy that you usually think about with he can go off anytime. Randomly.
Hey, don't disrespect my man Jeff Green. Okay?
I'm not. I'm just saying he's
yes,
not he wouldn't have been my first choice for running mate for Durant. But he did it. And that's all that really matters in the end, is that you do it. But yeah, Budenholzer, he spent all off season last year concocting how to stop the Heat, and then he stopped trying to coach after that. So he finally got past the Heat. Good job, Budenholzer. He did a great job there. But then he ran into the Nets, and he has made some very dumb decisions this series. And if we can transition real quick, because he might be out of Milwaukee if the Bucks lose, and there are rumors that new coaching free agent Rick Carlisle might be interested in the position. Rick Carlisle just stepped down as the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks, and there's people already talking about him going to the Bucks.
I think actually, you know what? He played for this team too, but I think the Celtics could also be a team that could really look at him. He played for Boston. He was a teammate of Larry Bird. He played on those. Now, he wasn't a key player necessarily, but he played on those championship teams back in the 80s. And if you're talking about a coach with a championship on his resume, who has coached, all NBA caliber players, all world caliber players, guys like, obviously just, with Luka the last couple of years, and then with Dirk for, the best, the prime of his career. you're in a situation where you've already got all-stars and Tatum and Brown and, Kemba, if he's able to come back healthy, but obviously they, maybe look at trading him. But either way, like if you're going to get someone on the if Brad Stevens is going to go to the front office, I mean, Rick Carlisle is one of the few guys in the league that you could say is on an equal level, if not more, just because he has that championship on his resume. I think that could be, Boston, if they want to shoot high, that could be that could probably be the highest shot they take in terms of looking for a new head coach.
Yeah, I could see Carlisle going to Milwaukee if he wants to coach Giannis, but Boston, now that you say it, seems like it would be a very good fit for Rick. So, we'll see where he goes, but Boston, I think, would be the best.
That far away either. I mean, he is a guy who's going to be one of, a top. He's someone that could end up being a top 10 caliber player in the next few years. I mean, he at least as a scorer, like the guy is already, seems like, plays like he's near unguardable. Like he went toe to toe with like Kyrie and KD. Even though they lost, I mean, he went toe to toe with Kyrie and KD and Harden and all those guys in the series against the Nets. So he is not afraid whatsoever.
And Jaylen Brown also has shown to be a great defender and second option on the team as well. So building that supporting cast around those two will be important. And I think that if Brad Stevens as I don't know what his position, I don't know if he's president or general manager. I think he's president, right?
Basically,
operations.
He's the head honcho, babe. He's the new Danny Ainge. He's for Danny Ainge. He's the new Danny.
His goal has to be to trim the fat off of this roster, and not be afraid to swing for the players that the Celtics need to have to be successful, because you might need to give up a draft pick to get off of Kemba Walker's money. But at this point, you might have to, because he did not play well last year, and there's no cash with the Celtics with 3 guys on max contracts to build a supporting cast around them. So, if Brad Stevens can build the right roster, then that's actually a really intriguing coaching job. I feel like the Bucks are a good job. I mean, Stan Van Gundy got fired as the Pelicans coach. Scott Brooks got fired as the Wizards coach. Did anyone else get fired recently?
Terry Stotts got fired.
Stotts, yeah.
I mean, and Nate Bjorkgren also got fired.
Yeah.
From the Pacers.
That was predicted for a while. I remember about that. That was
going after one of his players on the sidelines.
Yeah. I mean, the Celtics job of all those jobs is probably the most that's like the most attractive job out there.
Most high profile, definitely. Most high.
Right. Bringing an experienced championship.
They
great
also
coach.
Probably have the best roster built, even though there are some big question marks on it, because reports say Zion's not happy in New Orleans.
His family isn't happy. That's what it said. That his family doesn't like Zion on the Pels.
The Wizards are the Wizards. They're very confusing right now. They're just going to settle for being okay. The Pacers have a history of settling for being okay. And the Blazers have forgotten that defense is also an important piece to winning a championship. So the Celtics job definitely seems the most attractive, because even though your roster does have some big issues like Kemba's money and stuff, you still have 2 all-star players who are going to be able to take you to the playoffs. And, in the NBA, a draft pick can go a long way to getting rid of a bad contract. And when you're trying to win a championship, your draft picks don't matter. So but if that Bucks job becomes available, I think that's where Carlisle goes, because that gives him probably the best chance to win a championship of any of those spots right away. Yeah. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents.
I mean, it's going to be so fluid, because now with Dallas opening, it's going to be like, well, yeah, you have Luka, but then again, it's like, well, what steps are they going to take? Like you've talked, there's been reports about Porzingis being an awkward fit and not being happy there. It's like, and he's really like, and all the times I've watched the Mavs, it's clearly like Kristaps is like, he's not he's just not providing the kind of impact that I think they expected. Like, he still can be a good player. He's still a talented guy, but he's relegated a lot to being just a spot up guy a lot of the time. Like, he's not someone that you're good. It's not his game to like go down on the block necessarily and like to get a lot of those points.
I think it was pre-injury, but the injury changed a lot of his game. So he can thrive in the right system, but Dallas, I don't think, was the right fit.
He's put up good overall numbers, but in the playoffs, it's been like Luka. It's basically been Luka just, basically doing nearly everything and, thinking and trying to get like decent contributions from guys like, Tim Hardaway Jr. or Kristaps or, Dorian Finney-Smith or, whatever, any other the guys they got. I mean, the Pelicans are going to be attractive because as long as they got Zion and Brandon Ingram and, if they bring back Lonzo Ball, I mean, that's, they have, that's some of the best young talent in the league. So it's like, well, if you just bring the right guy in to make that coalesce and, bring in maybe some of the, and try and just revamp, add more shooting, they could, that could be a team that could very, the talent's there for them to make, a turnaround potentially. Obviously with the Trailblazers, you have Damian Lillard. So you already, that's a good starting point for anything, but they're going to have to see about like, are you going to trade CJ McCollum for somebody? Like, are you going to go out? Like, are you going to hang on to Nurkic after he really wasn't a factor at all in the playoffs? It's like, they can be a good team, but when you have a top 10 caliber player like Damian Lillard, you're looking to obviously be something more than that. And then, it'll just depend on, maybe how long is Lillard going to take, constantly being like, he's got to the conference finals one time, I think like a couple of years ago against the Warriors. So like, how much longer is he going to want to, be considered an also-ran basically. So like, it's a lot. There's a lot. It's like, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff. And I do think a lot of people have been talking about how this could also be the off season that maybe we also see the first female head coach in history of the NBA. I've heard that's also mentioned. But
I definitely think Becky Hammon could be hired this year. I think she's earned it. She has the resume, Popovich approves. So obviously that's, something that very few people can say. So
the Celtics also have a woman as one of their assistant coaches. I am so sorry. Her name is escaping me, but she has also been getting a lot of talk for a head coaching position.
Yeah. I know it was Becky Hammon, and then it was like, for the life of me, I think it was Teresa.
I'm gonna look this up.
I forget exactly, but no, like I think they're both considered to be like two of the highest the two high profile candidates, women candidates that could be considered, which, hey, I mean, that's obviously, that'd be great. Listen, I mean, yeah, it's, Becky Hammon.
Carla Lawson.
Okay.
There we go. We have the name. Carla Lawson. She has also been talked about a little bit, but she only has 1 year in the NBA. So that might take her a little bit of time before she is considered for head coaching job.
If I had to stump for one guy, and it's biased, but Chauncey Billups, I don't think he seems like he'd be a pretty good guy. He's always been well respected. He was considered to be one of the best team leaders in the entire NBA back when he was playing in his prime with the Pistons. So like, hey, Mr. Big Shot, why not? I mean, it seems like, heck, the Cavs and the Cavs and the Timberwolves both tried to hire him as their president of basketball operations. So obviously it's like it's probably shouldn't be a concern about his basketball mind. So, hey, hire Mr. Billups, bring him in. He deserves it.
He's a good option for sure.
Yeah, he's doing all right as assistant for the Clippers right now. So
no matter what it is, I want to see new faces. I'm tired of the NBA recycling the same 40 head coaches over and over again. I want there to be new people finally in the NBA because, oh my God, if I see another Stan Van Gundy coached team, which all respect due to Stan Van Gundy, he had a great run when he was actually relevant with how he likes to have his style of play done, but his style of play is outdated. so many of these coaches that are being recycled through the NBA have just very outdated schemes, and it shows because their teams either make it to the playoffs and then falter right away, or they can't get off the ground. So just please, new blood, new minds, people that actually like see the direction the game is going. And
So Thomas never wants to see Stan Van Gundy in the NBA again. That's what I'm hearing.
I think he does a great job in the booth. I think he did an okay job coaching the Pistons. I think that coaching the Pelicans was terrible. And I think he did a good job before when he was the coach of the Magic and even the Heat.
Well, he got to the finals. He took that team to the finals. So I mean, he's done good.
But now
he took a Dwight Howard led team.
But
think
right
about that.
now,
Dwight Howard.
Okay, prime Dwight was something else.
I'm kidding. I'm just
prime Dwight was an MVP can. I mean, he was a lot.
I'm aware.
People forget how good Dwight Howard actually was in his prime.
I honestly don't want to see Terry Stotts or Scott Brooks in the league anymore either. They're also outdated with how they like to play the game, how they like to have their style of play done. Just please.
Has been a head coach? Has he been a head coach with any team other than the Blazers, or was that his only job that he's ever had?
I have no idea, to be honest.
I don't know if I'd heard him, but
either way,
yeah. I was gonna say, Thomas, just to interrupt quick. I mean, they were talking about how the Blazers already interviewed Mike D'Antoni for the head coaching job. So,
Dame's about
one thing I will say about D'Antoni is his style of play has always kind of been where the NBA is going. That whole 7 seconds or less 3-point shooting kind of style. That was ahead of its time back when he was the coach of the Suns. I think Rick Carlisle, and Greg Popovich are two of the three coaches that have, been able to, just stick to what's working as the league progresses and evolves. They are able to find the right pieces and not get stuck with the past. But so many other coaches don't.
Yeah, and with all the teams that have vacancies right now, they all have some major roster problems. It's not like, any of these teams are, pretty like okay as is, and it's all the coach's fault. These are, some pretty not well put together teams, and I think they all need major overhaul. So depending on how each organization, how much control they give the head coach, I think that we could be seeing some new dynasties being formed here by some new coaching hires this summer. Like, some of these franchises that have a few key pieces but haven't, gotten that last piece of the puzzle to push them over the edge. I think that we could be seeing, maybe a Washington, contender team if they can find the right free agent. I mean, who knows? But, we'll see this offseason because there are a lot of rosters that need some major overhauling.
And Chris Paul is still in COVID protocol. After an entire hour, he's still in protocol. I thought that he might be out of it by now, but no.
It was only just yesterday. It's hard to. I don't think. Yeah, it's probably not. Unfortunately, I don't think it'd be that quick.
No, they're saying that he's being reevaluated on Saturday. So we'll see. But if Chris Paul misses a significant amount of time in the Western Conference Finals, that series is just not going to be as fun.
I mean, maybe it was a false positive. Who knows? I mean, again, it's like even though now, even with the vaccine now, it doesn't seem like it's near as much of a. I mean, it obviously still is a big deal. Although now that quarantine is ending and people are getting more of the vaccine, it's like now it's like life is starting to return to normal. It's like now it's maybe isn't although it's maybe not as threatening to everyone as it used to be. It's like still it's still there's still so little we actually know about just about how again, it's like Chris says, he doesn't know he doesn't have any idea how he got it because he doesn't do anything wrong. He does, he goes to the games, he goes to facility, he goes home. So it's like because if I were him, I'd be like, how did I get this? It's like who.
Conspiracy time. Adam Silver was tired of how well he was doing, so he slipped a little something into his post-game meal. You know?
Thomas throwing some big accusations out there.
No, I'm kidding.
I was about to say, what did Chris Paul do to get all the hate?
I mean,
Chris
maybe
Paul-
Scott Foster did something because he's
Oh.
notoriously known to hate Chris Paul. But no, I don't know who. Like that's just something that it could just be like even the tiniest interaction that he had with someone that he doesn't normally have an interaction with that just could have thrown something at him.
Or
But,
yeah, one
you know-
fan breathed in his direction as he was walking past them.
Like,
who
I
knows?
mean, from what I can tell, he's vaccinated, and even though the vaccine isn't 100%, it does, reduce the symptoms, reduce.
Yeah, you
a
can
lot
still
of the
get it, but
time.
if you do, yeah, it's
So-
it's not going to be as nearly as bad.
Yeah.
So hopefully he doesn't miss more than one game.
Well, I guess it just depends on when he gets the negative test, right? That's how the protocols
He
work.
needs
Yeah,
2
that-
negative tests,
yeah,
and
that-
then I think it's 48 hours of cardiac testing also.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder, like, does the vaccine like help you get it out of your system quicker too, or I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
I'm
Really,
not a scientist either. I don't know why I'm asking.
Prevent you from getting it in any case. So like that's the thing. Like the vaccine should prevent you from getting it in general. So that's normally.
So we'll see. I had to bring it around full circle. This is a Chris Paul podcast after all.
The Chris Paul podcast. Subscribe down below.
Chris Paul podcast. Yeah, I don't have anything else. Do anyone else have anything else? Or are we all set?
I can't. I mean, the NBA. Hey, man, it's been all NBA basically for the last whole week. So I mean, I can't imagine we've missed. I can't imagine we haven't gone over everything.
It has been some must-watch TV. I will admit. Like I'll have something, at night from 7 to 8, and I'll miss the first half of the first game, and it seems like I've already missed something huge. You have to be watching all the time. It seems like.
Yeah. Well, that is all the time we have for everyone today. Friendly reminder to vote Ryan Fitzpatrick into the Pro Bowl this year. We are trying to make him Hall of Fame eligible. So vote Ryan
Make it
Fitzpatrick for the Pro
happen.
Bowl. We are on the road to 1 million subscribers, so be sure to like, comment, subscribe on the video. Tell us what you want to hear more about in the comment section. And I'm Thomas. Carter, Darren joined me today. Trace Amigos, and we will see you next week with probably more NBA news because that's all that's really going on right now that any of us really pay attention to. So
It's the playoffs.
bye, everybody.